surrounded by dense woods. There was an abandoned house that no one dared to enter. Locals whispered stories about it, claiming that a family had lived there decades ago, but mysteriously vanished one stormy night. Since then, strange occurrences plagued the house. Shadows moving in the windows, eerie whispers carried by the wind, and a sense of being watched by unseen eyes. One Friday night, a group of teenagers gathered around a campfire sharing ghost stories. Jack, the bravest of the group, smirked at their tales. "You guys believe in that nonsense? It's just an old, empty house," he said confidently. The others, uneasy but unwilling to back down, challenged him. "If you're so brave, why don't you prove it? Let's go there tonight, stay for an hour, and if nothing happens, we'll admit you were right." Jack accepted, and before midnight, they found themselves standing in front of the house, its silhouette looming ominously against the moonlit sky. The house looked even creepier up close. The windows were shattered, the front door hung ajar, and the air smelled of decay and mildew. Armed with flashlights and their phones, they stepped inside, the wooden floorboards creaking beneath their feet. Inside, the house was deathly quiet, save for the occasional sound of the wind rattling the broken windows. The teenagers began exploring. The living room was filled with dusty, cobweb-covered furniture. Faded portraits of a family hung crookedly on the walls. Their smiles seemed unnaturally wide, almost as if mocking the group. As they moved deeper into the house, the silence was broken by a faint whisper. "Leave now." They froze. "Did you hear that?" whispered Sarah, her voice trembling. Jack shrugged it off. "It's probably the wind," he said, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. The group continued, but the whispers grew louder and clearer. A second voice joined in, raspier and more aggressive. "You don't belong here." Jack wandered into a side room where an old mirror hung on the wall. He stared at his reflection, trying to steady his nerves. But then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw something behind him, a dark, shadowy figure. Spinning around, he found nothing but empty air. "Jack, are you okay?" called Sarah from another room. Jack hesitated, then muttered, Yeah, I'm fine." But his hands were shaking. Suddenly, the front door slammed shut with a deafening bang, making them all jump. They ran to the door, but it wouldn't budge. No matter how hard they pulled or pushed, it seemed sealed shut. Panic set in as the whispers turned into angry murmurs, filling the air around them. Leave now," the voices chanted, overlapping and growing louder. Then came the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, and coming from upstairs. "Who's there?" Jack shouted, his voice cracking. No response. The footsteps stopped, but the creaking floorboards above suggested someone, or something, was up there. Against their better judgment, Jack and Sarah decided to check it out while the others stayed downstairs, too scared to move. The staircase groaned under their weight as they ascended. At the top, they found a small, dimly lit hallway with several doors. One door was slightly ajar, and a faint light flickered inside. They cautiously approached. When Jack pushed the door open, they found an empty bedroom with a single rocking chair in the corner. It was moving slowly back and forth, even though the air was still. On the wall opposite the chair, words were scratched into the plaster. "Get out." Just as they turned to leave, the chair stopped moving. Behind them, the door slammed shut, and a blood-curdling scream filled the room. The group downstairs heard it too, and began pounding on the locked front door in desperation. Upstairs, Jack and Sarah felt a cold, suffocating presence envelop them. The whispers turned into growls. Jack swore he saw a shadow figure lunge toward them, its glowing eyes fixed on his. They bolted out of the room, practically tumbling down the stairs. When they reached the front door, it suddenly flung open, as if the house had finally decided to let them go. They didn't stop running until they were far from the house. When they finally caught their breath, they noticed something chilling. Jack had deep scratches on his arm, even though nothing had touched him. The group never spoke of that night again, but Jack was never the same. He swore he could still hear the whispers in his dreams, calling him back to the house. The house remains abandoned to this day, but if you listen closely at night, you might just hear the whispers, warning you to stay away. Thank you for listening to this terrifying tale. What would you do if you heard whispers in the dark? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling stories. Until next time, stay safe and beware of the shadows.